where I am resident, prospered with samurai culture for 400 years, along with the variety of foods derived from the mountains and the sea, and traditional crafts evolved to create our refined food culture. And in September of last year, Executive Chef Michael Romano kindly accepted to become our ambassador of Ishikawa fine dining culture. So we appreciate what he has done and is doing today to promote the activity of Ishikawa's refined food culture. And to you in attendance today, we hope that this event provides an opportunity to experience Ishikawa's ingredients and recipes, to inspire new ideas in your own culinary creativities. And finally, we would like to give special thanks to Michael Romano and Ms. Saori Kawano, Gohan Society. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kunisaki. And now we'd like to ask Ms. Saori Kawano, President and founder of Gohan Society, who has given us her enormous effort for this event to speak.
I will make it very short. My name is Saori Kawano. I am president of Gohan Society. With that big support of Chef Michael Romano and Chef Paul and Chef Takahashi is from Gramercy, Thailand. And thank you so very much for all the Blu-ray Test Kitchen scheme gave us this wonderful opportunity. And Gohan Society's mission is a U.S.-Japan culinary exchange program. And we've been working with Ishikawa Prefecture since 2007. And Gohan Society was founded in 2006. And since next year, 2007, we've been trying to introduce Japanese culinary culture and tradition through Ishikawa Prefecture's support and wonderful companies located in Ishikawa. And I hope someday you can visit Ishikawa. You will feel Japan, the real traditional Japan. And thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kawano. And now we would like to ask Executive Chef Michael Romano, who created the pairings of the Ishikawa ingredients and santets, to speak.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. It's a beautiful day. You could have all been at the beach if you wanted. That's great. So, as was announced a moment ago, I guess it's no secret I am totally in love with Japan, and especially the Ishikawa Prefecture. Been there many times, and I had the honor last year, about a year ago, of being appointed Shokubunka Taishi, which is in anybody's language, cultural and fine dining ambassador by the governor Tanimoto of Ishikawa Prefecture, who, by the way, Mayor Bloomberg can take a lesson. He's about to get elected probably for his 6th term as mayor, which is and this is the last one he can do. So that's 24 years as governor, rather. So I'm sure Bloomberg will be jealous. But, so we have a list of wonderful ingredients from Ishikawa Prefecture, and I know there are chefs out in the audience here, and I know that even if you're not a chef, you're all into food, and you probably all cook. And it's my experience that when the cooks are presented with new ingredients that they haven't seen before, it just fires off all of these reactions in their head. I was showing these ingredients to my cooks in our catering kitchen, where we did a lot of advanced preparation. Everybody immediately was, oh, you could do this with that, or you could do this with that. So it's a fun challenge, and these are new tastes for us. And sometimes actually they're new for the Japanese too. One of the things we're going to use is the maru yubeshi, which is a stuffed preserved yuzu. And even in my kitchen in Tokyo, Union Square, Tokyo, they weren't that familiar with it. So what I tried to do to give you an overview is obviously not do Japanese cuisine using these ingredients. There's people who do that a lot better than I ever will. And so what I try to do is come up with some ideas that are novel, that are using them in maybe Italian cuisine or French or just American food, and integrating them, not to get cute and get fusiony about it, but just to integrate them into the ingredients, into the other dishes, and see how they work. And I think there's some fun things that you're going to try. So I want to start with one of the things here is we're going to do a little salmon crostino. And this is something I was playing around with at home actually, and I discovered that I love the way smoked salmon. Oh, by the way, this is Paul Wetzel, sous chef at Gramercy Tavern, and Eric Takahashi at the also Gramercy Tavern, who's the sous vide chef. 18 All-Stars, and Leanne is here too, helping me, also a big Ishikawa fan, TV star. So let's see, so I discovered, I was getting back to the crostino. I love the way that smoked salmon, or any smoked fish actually, as it turns out, and pecorino cheese works together. So pecorino cheese is one of my favorite cheeses. We know it in this country, we call it pecorino romano, and some people drop the pecorino and just call it romano cheese, so I'm really familiar with it. I grew up hearing, oh, romano, like the cheese, but it's actually not romano cheese, it's pecorino cheese, which means it comes from a sheep, which means it comes from the area around Rome, that's why it's romano. So I discovered they have this affinity, one for the other. So this is a little Kewpie mayo, which I love. I think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And it's mixed with yuzu juice. Okay. Next, I've got some avocado, which I also love and I'm using quite a bit today. One slice of avocado. Next, we're putting a shiso leaf, which is another one of my favorite Japanese ingredients. Then we have the smoked salmon, which is actually, in this case, smoked Arctic char that Paul prepared. No, wait, I made a mistake. First, before we do that, we're going to put the pecorino. So it's from a whole piece, obviously, thinly shaved. Then the salmon. I've got a little bit of preserved lemon. And I like to do that in a quick, I like a quick preparation. Very, very thinly sliced lemons, usually on the slicing machine. Salt and sugar, and you leave it for a day or so. It works really well. Obviously, there's the classic recipe, the whole lemons in the jar, cut, you put away for weeks and months. But this works really well, and it's quick. And then I'm going to finish it with shiso salt. This is now, there's many different kinds of salt that come from Ishikawa Prefecture, which is one of their wonderful products. This is fun because on the Japanese label they call it sakura, so because it's pink. Actually got nothing to do with cherry blossoms. It's shiso salt, so it's appropriate for this. Just a little bit. And there you have it. A little bite of heaven, I think. Anyway, we've got some working right here that are going to be coming around for you to taste. I'm going to taste this one. This is mine. Okay, next, another little taste. We're going to start out with two of these little tastes. One of those spoons with this last week. This is something I did in Tokyo, kind of a sushi importation because it's not sushi, And I actually made this for one of my favorite sushi chefs in Tokyo, a restaurant called Nakamura in the Roppongi area. Strongly recommend you go there. I just sent Florence Fabricants over there the first time. I just sent her there. I haven't heard back yet, but he's a really talented guy. I made this sushi for him, and he came to dinner with his wife, and she said, "Oh, I like this better than his sushi," which is not true, but she was very kind. Anyway, so what I do is I take fregola. Everybody know what fregola is? Fregola is a Sardinian pasta. It's not really a pasta, it's just wheat and water that they roll up into little balls, dry it out, and then you cook it like pasta. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to, since it doesn't really hold together like rice will when you make sushi, I'm going to bind it with some avocado puree. You're going to get the impression that I'm a big fan of avocado, which I am. This is a kind of simplified version of the original dish I did, which had, in addition to the avocado, it had preserved lemon in it, it had chopped green olives, and it also had green yuzu kosho, which is another one of my favorite ingredients, the yuzu pepper mixture, which is just absolutely brilliant on a grilled Japanese steak. If you've ever had it, it's just amazing. So just enough to put that together. And here I've got spinach salt, green salt. It has a wonderful inside and the putting the green salt on top. So that will be your second taste. Sorry to tease you like this, but I just got a little production time here. We will be doing some actual cooking. I left a few recipes that actually need to be finished. I've got a risotto coming up, and we have a sloppy joe, miso sloppy joe recipe, which we're going to do from scratch, so you get to see some cooking. So, we've got the salmon coming out to you, the tuna's on the way. And moving along, the third item that was presented to me was abura age. So it comes frozen. I'll show you. Show you the package. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this. This is the product. It's tofu. It's fried. It comes fried and then it's frozen. And so I was thinking about, I mean, you can put it in soup. I've done it in Japan when I've cooked with it. I've done it taking it and putting it on a grill, and then slicing it and putting it in a salad with shiso and miyoga and mizuna and all of these different ingredients, and it's black sesame seed dressing. It's quite nice. But I wanted to do something a little different, so I was just playing around with it. And we came up with this idea of if you take one of these, and the best thing to do is put it under the salamander or your broiler at home. You have salamander at the restaurant. And what happens is it first defrosts and then it kind of puffs up a little bit. when it puffs up, it enables you to
Slightly, yeah.
when it puffs up, it enables you to slice it and open it like a wallet. So I thought, well, we'll try making a little panini out of it. So we took some avocado again, some Gruyere cheese, some wonderfully house cured ham from Gramercy Tavern, some arugula, and some Roma tomatoes. And we make a mayonnaise mustard coating, and then we're just going to grill them. It didn't work. I tried doing it really panini style, pressing it on with a weight, but it didn't work so well. I found that grilling them was better. The grill's not too hot.
Yeah, but it's really nice.
Yeah. So it's a tofu panini. So if you wanted to keep it vegetarian, you could eliminate the ham, obviously. Just do it that way. And I've got something else coming up later on to show you another thing, or two more things to do with this when we get to the Sloppy Joe part of our program. But so this was a fun idea. I think it tastes rather nice. When you prepare the abrage this way, it kind of just it's very light. It's much lighter than a piece of bread. So it kind of just almost in a way that puff pastry kind of just fades away in your mouth. It does that kind of thing. Much lighter than bread. You got enough?
No, this is not funny.
So that's the any questions or anything, please feel free to jump in whenever you want. You don't have to wait to the end. So as I said, I've got a couple more things to show you what I do with this product. Which is great. Products that I was given to work with. Really an amazing product. It's called Maru Yubeshi. Maru means tall, is that right? So what this is, you can see that from here. This is one whole perfect yuzu. And they have to pick and find beautiful, perfect yuzu. When this was fresh, it was bigger, and it was beautiful, yellow, and it was unblemished. And that's what's required to make this. Then what they do is they cut a little hole in the center to remove a little hat. And very careful, I've seen videos of this. With these small wooden spoons, they remove every bit of the inside pulp. Use it with everything. So much so that when you hold up the fruit, you can see the light through it. And they have to do that without breaking the skin, without blemishing the fruit. So not easy. So already we're talking about a labor-intensive kind of product here. Then it's filled with a hot blend of mochi and yuzu pulp, I believe. And the whole thing is steamed. After that, it's put away and left to age dry for 6 months. And this is the result. And it's just an amazing. I think did they get a chance to taste this? You did. Okay. So you tasted it just as is. Right. So I was thinking, in Japan you see it often. They'll serve it with cheese on it or cream cheese. I like blue cheese on it. It's very nice. That's a nice way to do it. But we've done two things with it today. One is in a savory context. I wanted to find some way to do it that was not dessert. sweet, but it's not, you know, incredibly sweet. It could lend itself, I thought, to this kind of thing. So I was thinking back to my old days in Paris, and when I first started out cooking at the Hotel Bristol, one of the things I had to do every day was make the ravier of the crudité and the salads that went out on the cart to serve the guests. And one of the things that was always there was celery remoulade, which I'm sure you're familiar with. Without the old Julia Child or grated celery root, celery roux, some mayonnaise, some vinegar, salt, and maybe horseradish. So we put that together the classic way. We used rice vinegar. We used some little horseradish, a touch of yuzu juice, and the maruyubeshi cut into the same shape as the celery. And I think it's a fun application. I find that when I'm eating the celery and I get a little piece of the maruyubeshi, it's really kind of nice. It's a nice counterpoint to the celery. So we're going to pass that around. Really good. I don't think anybody in Japan thought of putting that with horseradish, but it works. So that's one of the things we did with it, and we've got something coming on the other end as a sweet. Oh, yeah. No, we got to serve these. Yeah. I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. So let's cut these and serve. Yeah. Getting the tuna, and the celery actually goes nicely with the sandwich. Maybe we'll bring that out together. The next thing that's going to happen after all this is you all saw the anago sushi, the frozen anago sushi, right? The log of sushi with the eel on it. When I saw that product, I thought, well, what can I do with this? When I opened one up and defrosted it and looked at it, first of all, I liked the taste. I thought it was really good. I like that little bit of the shiitake mushroom inside. But the shape of it made me think of an Italian dish, arancini, which is fried rice ball, essentially. So if you put mozzarella and maybe some ham or something, but essentially mozzarella in the middle, it becomes supli al telefono. And the reason it's called supli al telefono, telephone, because when you eat it, you get the mozzarella coming out like a telephone wire. By the time it gets to your mouth, that's really the reason it's called that. I didn't make that up. So, but this we don't have mozzarella. This is the actual piece of the sushi. Can you all hear me, by the way? Okay, yeah. Of the sushi that we coated with a classic flour, egg, and then panko, and deep fried. So deep fried sushi. This is the first. And I made a little dipping sauce with my friend Kewpie mayo, and this time we used another wonderful Ishikawa product, the ishiri. How many of you have heard of garo, ancient Roman? That was essentially fermented fish kind of sauce, which still we use in our day. And this is another example. This is with cuttlefish and or squid intestines. And so these sauces are very intense. You know, you're not meant to drink it as a drink. But in the way that in Mediterranean cooking, we use, for example, anchovy to give something a little punch. We don't necessarily even want fish taste per se. Like there's a recipe from southern Italy, it's either Sicily or Puglia, I forget which, that is a lamb stew that uses anchovy in it. And it does wonderful things. It gives it that kind of umami kind of punch without giving you the notion of fish. So this can do the same thing, ishiri. It's very potent, you only need a little bit. So I've used this a few times today. One is in the sauce that you're going to taste with the sushi. Another one is in the risotto. We're putting it in risotto. That's coming out. So that's it. The fried sushi is, I like it a lot. It comes out really nice, crisp and brown. And when you dip it in that sauce, it's pretty delicious. We're going to serve you the little arraghe panini with the celery on the side. Yeah, it's a lot of fun playing with these ingredients. And as I say, everybody in the kitchen was coming forward with ideas. Oh, why don't you try this and do that? So, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a jump on the risotto. Now, I've already started the risotto. I've cooked it. Those of you who are professional cooks know that, you know, obviously the best way to do risotto is from scratch, beginning to end. But sometimes in a restaurant application, it's hard to ask the guest to wait 25, 30 minutes, especially if it's an appetizer course. So, what we do is we cook it about half to 3/4 of the way through. Take it out, and you have to get it out of the pot and spread it on a sheet pan to arrest the cooking. Otherwise, if you leave it in the pot, it's going to continue cooking. Then, make sure that you just put it back. What I've done so far with this I started out with a little bit of neutral oil, mineral oil. I cooked some shallot and a little bit of garlic. I don't want a strong garlic taste on this. And the chopped anchovy, nice in the fat. I added my rice. I actually seasoned it with, this is a seaweed salt, which has a wonderful kind of sea, obviously it's sea salt, but it has an additional kind of shellfish, seaweed kind of flavor. Then I added, with my white wine, I added Ishikawa, reinforce that umami and that taste. This is a very interesting risotto, if you say so myself. It's a, the main ingredients are eggplant, anchovy, pecorino again, pecorino, and mint. Now when you taste this, you get the eggplant is rich and dark and deep. The anchovy and the ishikawa give it that umami. The pecorino ripens it and gives it salt. And then you get this wonderful little note of mint that says, okay, lighten up. You know, just enjoy it, take it easy. It's just a really nice flavor. And I'm doing it with a chicken broth. So we start it back again. Cooking stopped at about halfway or so. Now the eggplant, you see Eric there is the restaurant. What we do is there's this neat trick if you want to try this. You dice the eggplant and put them in a bowl of ice water with a lot of salt. You can use the just the plain Ishikawa sea salt, not flavored. It's really nice. Really wonderful salt. but so that it's really noticeably like seawater salt. And let the eggplant soak in that for a second. Then take it out, don't dry it, go right into a deep fryer. And it gets nice and brown and crispy and really tasty. Did you get the sandwich yet? Now this won't take quite as long. And then it gets finished with the eggplant, some pecorino, the mint, and a little butter. You have to finish with a little butter. Any questions or thoughts or ideas yet? No? I do echo Saori-san's advice to please visit Ishikawa Prefecture. It's just physically such a beautiful place. You've got so many different areas in the north, Noto. They have so many arts and crafts and the Wajima lacquer and this wonderful culture of cloth weaving, the kagayuzen, and great seafood and fish, great restaurants, great sushi. Tremendous natural beauty. Yeah, Leanna's talking about our friend, a fellow named Shin Takagi. He's got a restaurant in Kanazawa called Zenia, which I strongly recommend. Very simple looking place. It's just a counter with 10 or a dozen seats. And he's back there cooking, his brother, and amazing food. Also the mint, I think. Oh, we gotta do the sushi, right? Here's what they, here's what they look like. This is back to the eel sushi. Once they're coated. And here's the sauce. I guess we'll put it in the bowl.
And the fried sushi right on top?
Put the sauce inside. So the whole thing with risotto comes down to the last few minutes. It's you have to keep tasting and seeing when it's just right, when it's just done, and then you to finish it. Okay, the eggplant can go in now. When I first came up with this recipe, I thought unlikely companions to eggplant, anchovy, mint, pecorino. But now with the addition of the ishiri, it really amplifies that flavor. But it works really nicely. We have to go on this.
Yeah, that'd be better.
Program adjustment here. We may go with the rice before we go with the sushi. Yes. Yeah, this is gonna be ready. That's good. We're all getting used to a new space here. Right. Play with additions of liquid because you want it to be rich and moist and soft but not soupy, or do you want it to be tight? So I tell my cooks, you know, when it goes on the plate, if you shake the plate, it should just sort of settle. I remember one time I was doing a cooking demo at a club in New York, which I won't mention the name, and I was outside like this, speaking to the guests, making a risotto. And inside was the team of cooks, not my team, making the risotto to actually serve to 100 people or something. And I just finished saying about that, how the texture should be and soft. And I go back to the kitchen to check, and there's a cook with an ice cream scoop, taking the risotto out and putting it on the plate. Those are things that age a chef. Age visibly. And it gets this lovely nut brown color from the eggplant. We have fresh sliced mint. Grated pecorino cheese. So you may have, if you're not experienced at risotto making, you may have a recipe in front of you that says 1.2 cups of cheese and this one. That's great, but taste. Maybe it needs more. Maybe cheese was not as strong as the person who wrote the book was using. And don't be afraid if you see it's getting too tight to give it that little bit of juice to soften it up a bit. Just a little bit of butter.
Chef?
Yes.
Sorry, maybe you said this already. What type of rice do you?
This is arborio. Arborio.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got basically three kinds you come across: arborio, vialone nano, and carnarole. I haven't really found a preference. I think they all work. They're all good. Mixed in some diced apple with the miso as well. And then run it on the broiler. And it gets kind of like gratinate a little bit. And I'll tell you, and then put it on top of the cabbage and apples. Amazing. Really amazing. So, yeah, this, I mean, you just as you make miso soup or mixing with this, it's just amazing. So Paul's got a mirepoix, right? Carrots, onions, celery. Shishito peppers. Going a little fusion here. This is actually when Paul was making this, he cut the vegetables for me. I said, Paul, this is his Gramercy training here. I said, that is the neatest sloppy Joe I've ever seen. So he did a perfect little brunoise. This probably is a little bit more of a restaurant version of sloppy joe, fresh thyme. Rice on its way. This is coming. Sushi. So I'll jump ahead a little bit. After we get done with the sloppy joe, we've got. I made one of the other products was. Sorry about that. I didn't realize you're getting sake at the same time. Yeah, good. Yeah, I tasted all the sake yesterday and put it with, tasted it with the food. And I thought, you let me know if something is working or not. I know and love all of these sake. They're really. That's another thing that Ishikawa Prefecture does really well is make sake. Something I'm learning to do very well is drink sake. So this is another product, it's ginger vinegar. My friend, some waiter brings this in. San Valley ginger vinegar. I had not tasted this before this trip. It's amazing, amazing product. And again, I was trying to think of, well, what can I do with this? Other than put it on a salad or like a vinaigrette or something like that. So what I did was I took I made a zabaglione. I guess I can't get out of the Italian thing. And the zabaglione has pineapple concentrate, prosecco, sugar and egg yolks, and this. And I want to tell you, when you taste this, it just came out so, because this is pretty sweet. There's a fair amount of sugar. I don't know if you tasted it over there. It's pretty sweet, but the ginger comes through so nicely without any kind of burn or harshness or medicinal. It's just really nice ginger flavor. Then Paul and I made back to our friend Mario Yubeshi. Something else I was thinking about was a rice pudding. Using this inside of it with apples as well. It's apple season. We did that. We made the rice pudding with almond milk and coconut milk. We've got a little young ginger in here, fresh young ginger, which is amazing. If you use young ginger, it's not easy to get, but it's such a different thing than old papery, leathery ginger. And apples, and this at the end, we put a little bit of gold leaf on the top. This gold leaf is another major ingredient from Ishikawa. 99% of all the gold leaf used in Japan comes from Ishikawa Prefecture. And so Paul's got the bean in there. This is a special Gramercy Tavern beef blend, right? Okay. Tell us about that.
So this is 100% grass-fed beef from a farmers cooperative in upstate New York called Adirondack Grazers. So it's a cooperative of about 20 small family farms that all kind of pull together and organize their business to market their grass-fed beef. It's pretty amazing stuff.
One of the things I love about Gramercy Tavern is not just chopped beef. And then, so we did this rice pudding, which we both really liked. And then I made this sabayon. And I was looking at them, and I said, I'm going to mix them together. Amazing, amazing how well they work together. You can also take the sabayon and mix it just with whipped cream to lighten it up. Put it over fresh fruit, whatever you want to do. You can even, in the summertime, maybe slip a sheet of gelatin in there so it molds nicely. But just the sabayon with the rice pudding is sensational. And then we're going to finish up with the gold leaf. This, unfortunately, I won't have enough to give samples to taste. I got my pastry chef at our catering kitchen to think about this. I wanted, again, do something a little different with the gold leaf. I mean, sprinkle it on risotto and all of that. It's also really fun. There are many different types of shapes and sizes and thicknesses. Is that shown? Did you see gold leaf over there? So they put it in champagne and it kind of sparkles and goes, which is really nice. But what we came up with was we created a jelly. So it's a fresh apple. I think it's got honey, just a clear gel, like a Jell-O. But inside, he created a sphere. With, it's a thin pellicule, a thin skin that holds liquid inside. The liquid is honey and apple and gold. So theoretically, I haven't done it yet. Break into it, you should have a gold rush coming out of this liquid that comes out. We'll have a little apple and grape salad that goes underneath it. So we'll see. Ready, Eric? Yeah. Start serving. We have enough for one for everybody. Oh, we get one more piece.
Yeah, these are the
Special thanks to Leanne Wong. She was not scheduled to be working today on this. But she jumped in and God bless her. So the meat is cooking. We added some ketchup and miso. And add a little stock. We have wine in there, right?
Yeah, white wine. I think I added more research to it too.
Sushi will be coming around in a second. Oh, the other thing we did with the one thing is we cut it into triangles, and first I tried refrying it, make it into chips, tofu chips. But in fact, when I fried it, they came out a little bit quite oily, which wasn't quite satisfactory. So we just baked them in the oven until they get need a little seasoning for tofu chips, and use a little big one of these salts. Oh, I didn't mention this. In this sauce, sorry for jumping around. The sauce that's coming with the sushi, there's one of my favorite of the salts, black salt. It's orange salt. My understanding, I'm making this wrong, it's stuffed inside of pieces of bamboo, and then it's cooked until the bamboo turns to charcoal, and they recover the salt. So it's got this kind of smoky, wonderful flavor, and also a nice texture. So I put some in the sauce. How do I describe the sauce? It's mayonnaise, it's got some fresh lemon juice, ishiri, some chipotle Tabasco, so you can use some heat. It's got chives and this black salt. That's the